Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Vallen, and this is Botania. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can automate the automatic refilling of your Petal Apothecary. Relatively early game, too. So as you saw, I have a very simple looking setup on the outside. It is a little bit more complex, but it is somewhat early game. You don't have to have gone to the end or anything crazy like that. It makes it a little bit cleaner if you have access to glowstone, but not necessarily a requirement there. And of course, I just have some living rock and shimmer rock here as just decoration stuff. But the basic idea is I have a Petal Apothecary. I'm going to be automating this using some basic redstone stuff as well as just Botania. It's relatively simple, even though it looks a bit complex, and that's what I'm going to be going over here. So let's start off with the parts list. Now, I'm not including any kind of the items outside of the decorative blocks. I'm talking about the bare bones stuff. Things required, like your Petal Apothecary, a few blocks to place redstone on and such, plus and the glass here represents where the water is going to be. Now I have two different heights. This one here is going to be my preferred method because it will drop down a little bit further, but it'll also give you a bit more space. You won't be cramped. You can actually have it in the floor if you want, or if you so desire, you can have it, more at a pleasurable level to your head instead of your feet. But I personally prefer having it down in the floor. It just makes it easier for me to throw things into the Petal Apothecary. Now, I am going to show you the how to assemble this with a smaller version here that is a little bit shorter. Now, I have the two heights because that's about as far as a Hopperhock can reach, which is going to be one of the required items. Now, the item list here. As you can see, it is currently on screen. Feel free to, go over it, but I've got a Petal Apothecary, 2 mana detectors, which are not expensive at all. They're just a bit of living rock and redstone. 1 piece of redstone, 1 block of redstone, sticky piston, 3 redstone torches. You can probably get away with only 1 if you're going with the shorter version. A piece of dirt and a Hopperhock, or you can go with one of the floating variants, like here. A floating Hopperhock, which will require, a little bit of glowstone and such. But other than that, you'll need anywhere from 2 to 6 stone, depending upon if you're going for a taller one or a shorter one. And that's just for blocks to put the redstone supplies on. You can supply the stone, or replace the stone with whatever else you want, as long as you can place redstone on it. And you'll need 1, if not 2 item frames, depending upon how you do things. 1 open crate, 1 redstone comparator, 2 buckets, 1 dispenser, a hopper, a pulse mana spreader, and at least a diluted mana pool. You can get away with this instead of a regular mana pool if you want. And as well, an optional item is a mana spreader, just to try and make everything last a lot longer with this. Now I realize that that's quite a list of things. It's not really that bad. If you look, there's pretty much almost just one of everything. There's a few of them that have multiples, and of those, they're very, very mundane, rather. So it is, in my opinion, rather early days for this. So let's start putting this together and stop jawing on about this. We're going to start with a redstone comparator. And if you have a bucket of water, which I just happen to have one here, you put it in here, you'll notice it will give off a redstone signal. So therefore, it is going to be key for the refilling, automated refilling of this setup. And you only need the 1 bucket in order to refill things, but you need the 2nd bucket for the Hopperhock to identify what to pick up. Now, next you'll take that 1 piece of redstone, place it down. Grab yourself at least 1 redstone torch. If you're doing a taller version, you're going to want 3. Because if I take these, and I will show you here, put down another one, it will then turn this one, kind of dark as it is right now. I'm actually going to fill this Petal Apothecary with that bucket of water. And you'll see that it will make a redstone torch. If I put another one on top of that, which I don't, it won't transmit properly through glass, but you get the idea that it will have to go up 2 more levels in order to be functional. So if you want the taller one, just build 2 more levels up of the same exact setup. 2 more stone, 2 more redstone. Next, we're going to need that pulse mana spreader, which actually I need to remove that redstone torch there and put the pulse mana spreader up here. It's easiest if you have it facing the proper way already. Which is in this direction here, but you will need to adjust this manually in order to, use less materials for this setup. Now, we're going to need at least some kind of mana source with this, and that's going to be a diluted mana pool. Just pressing Shift and right-click, I can place the diluted mana pool right next to the pulse mana spreader, and this should be a way of filling it up with some kind of mana. I'm going to jump up here, drop it down onto this, and it should fill this instantly. I've got a creative tablet, but diluted mana pools aren't going to really carry very much mana at all. You just need something to be able to spread a redstone pulse. Next up, we need the hopper, the two mana detectors here, a sticky piston, block of redstone, and the open crate. Might as well get all those on the hotbar at this point. Right in front of this mana detector, we are going to put down one of those mana pulse mana spreader. We put down a mana detector, and just pressing Shift and right click should be able to place that. Then I take a dispenser, and it needs to face up. So you're going to need to kind of, get above in this case, place it down, and therefore it will refill water up here. Don't bother filling the water until you're absolutely done with this build, because otherwise it's just going to make a mess. Next, you grab your hopper. Jump back down here, and it's going to want to go off to the right. So if possible, you're going to need to put something down temporarily, like that mana detector, just so that I can place the open crate underneath it, place down the hopper, and then I'm going to re-grab this mana detector. There we go, back into survival. And you can see here it's starting to take a little bit more familiar shape. So what's happening is you're going to be taking your pulse mana spreader, shooting a beam through two mana detectors at a bit of an angle. But they have to be at least 2 blocks apart in order for the sequence to actually take shape. So we're going to need a sticky piston. Just put it on the side of this here, facing you, with your block of redstone there. And the mana detector goes on top of that. So this pulse mana spreader is going to shoot through both of the mana detectors. Now the optional part is adding another mana spreader at this side. Now of course you can just put it here, and with mana detectors you can actually shoot through them with mana. So they just will output a redstone pulse on anything around them. So therefore, I could take my wand of the forest here and Shift right click this mana spreader and aim it at this diluted mana pool. There we go. Shift right click, and it is now aimed at the mana pool. And I can then take this pulse mana spreader, which at this point it's going to be easier if I have a little something to stand on. And I'm going to actually put down a block so that I can stand on this and do this a little easier. Take your wand of the forest. Now you've got your typical bind mode where you press Shift and right click, and it will actually highlight something. If you click off in the air, Shift right click, it goes into function mode. Then you hold Shift and you hold right click. You'll start seeing this animation and everything will go wonky. And if you start looking around while you're holding this, you're changing where your mana spreader is aiming. So if you can aim this just right, there we go. You can see that other outline. That is the other mana spreader. And if you hold on to your mana spreader and you look up here, or hold on to your wand of the forest and look up here, you can see the multiple different areas where the beams basically go. So we've got kind of a circle here. The pulse mana spreader is shooting through both of these redstone mana detectors, which redstone pulsing mana detectors, going into the mana spreader, and it's shooting back into the diluted mana pool, basically recycling it. Now, like I said before, you could skip the mana spreader if you want, but it does make things a lot easier to know when you're getting through both of those blocks to have that there. And to recycle it means that it'll last like 10 times longer, instead of just shooting the mana off into nothingness, and it will just get wasted at that point. Now, this isn't everything. This is most of the things. I'm going to show you a Hopperhock in dirt so that you don't have to make the floating one. I've got a bit of an item frame here, and I'm going to have a couple of these buckets. So let's place down this dirt. Now, if you have a glowing setup, you could feasibly put it where this glass block is here. But keep in mind that Hopperhocks, when they pick items up, we'll place them into adjacent inventories unless they have specified items on them. So if I place a Hopperhock here, floating one in this case, it will try placing into the open crate and into the dispenser. So that's something to take into account. You don't want to place into the open crate. You only want to place into the dispenser. So I recommend you putting it on this side. You can put the frame and such on there as well. So let's just drop down here, hold shift and right click. You can put your frame on there, put an empty bucket in it. Then you put one empty bucket in the dispenser, and you can then put your Hopperhock in front of that. So in this case, I'm putting a piece of dirt right next to the Hopperhock on top of that. And with this only next to one inventory, it's only going to try and put things into that one inventory. So we pretty much have this set up at this point. If you take your Wand of the Forest, and you actually right-click on your mana spreader, you can see it is full of mana automatically because it's right next to a mana pool that has mana in it. So it's sitting ready and waiting. At this point, we just need to have something remove the water from this. It will then remove the redstone pulse and change everything around out here. There are multiple ways that you could feasibly remove that. You could either make a recipe. In this case, I'm just going to take out 1 bucket's worth. And you'll see that everything kind of did its thing and nothing happened. In this case, I forgot to put a lever down. I'm going to turn off the Hopperhock because Hopperhocks are redstone plants and therefore can be turned on and off so that it will not steal my bucket from this dispenser. And don't forget, when you fill the water above, that you need to make sure you put down something to stop that water from flowing out that one empty spot. And in this case, I'm just putting a piece of dirt. You could always put down a piece of glass or something like that just so you can see better your entire creation. But just make sure you've got your one empty bucket in there. And then we can take a full bucket, put it in there so that it's reset, everything's good to go. Now when I remove that one bucket, you'll notice everything is functioning. It drops down the bucket on top, and it will take a few moments for the Hopperhock to actually detect where the bucket is and then put it back into the proper inventory. So you're not going to want to stand directly next to this, but it will take care of it by itself. So as you can see here, it's a little bit bulky of a build when you just kind of look at it this way. But when you have it set up a little bit higher, you can have it in a room, and it's very well disguised, and everything is kind of back behind here. The only drawback is that there is kind of a time gate on this. So if I toss in some white petals to make myself a pure daisy followed by a seed, I get the pure daisy, the bucket falls down. I could then start doing the next one, where I just kind of right click. Everything goes in, I'm ready with the seed, but I can't throw the seed in until that bucket goes away. Otherwise, it's not going to refill until the bucket is in there. There we go. And then the next one comes up. So you're good to go. And if you accidentally pick up the bucket, just throw it back on the ground. The Hopperhock should pick it back up without any problems. So that's about it for today's Bit by Bit on Botania and how to automate your very own Petal Apothecary in relatively early game materials. And it's on demand, not having to recycle it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and as always, be sure to spread the mischief to others if you think they'll enjoy this content too. Until next time, folks, I'll see ya.